Hi, and welcome to season 2 of the Yumi and IP podcast, where we delve into the dynamic world of intellectual property with industry experts and thought leaders. I'm your host, Carlos Northon. I'm the founder and CEO of Northon's Media PR and Marketing Limited in the United Kingdom. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Carolina Belmar, Chief at the International Trademark Association, as some people would know it as INTA, for Latin America and the Caribbean. Carolina brings 20 years of experience in IP data, cybersecurity law, and she's here to discuss INTA's expanding role and impact across Latin America and the Caribbean, as published in the latest issue of the INTA Special Edition of the Global IP Matrix magazine, which is issue 19, actually. Bienvenido al podcast hoy día, Carolina. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Carolina.
Muchas gracias, Carlos. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and it's an honor to discuss with you today.
So, Carolina, we've brought you onto the podcast today to discuss your latest article, which is titled Expanding in Latin America and the Caribbean, an update from INTA, which is in page 60 of the issue 19 of the Global IP Matrix magazine. So can we start by giving us an overview of INTA's mission in Latin America and the Caribbean and how it's evolved since the Santiago office was established in 2017, Carolina?
Yes, sure. Well, let me first give you some context. INTA, as a global association, has regional offices for each continent. This way, we could serve better our members, but also to engage with relevant stakeholders. So, our priorities nowadays are basically to support the 2025 to 2025 global INTA strategic plan. And in particular, we are dealing with first, promote and reinforce the value of brands here in the region, how brands and trademark contribute to the development of our societies, and how this could be useful for SMEs. Also, we have to try to fight against the anti-IP sentiment that still some countries or policymakers for some countries have about IP rights. Second is harmonizations. We promote that countries could update their IP laws to the highest standards available worldwide. The third, which is a kind of it's remain and it's a global problem as well, is counterfeiting. And the fourth is internet and governance. I would say that that is basically the work, but we have nowadays two additional and specific projects. One is addressing to young generations through the Latin American Moot Court competition that we launched 4 years ago. We are engaging with the new lawyers to promote the knowledge of IP in the region. It's a fantastic project that we work with the Andean Court of Justice as well as with the ACP. It's a regional IP association here in Latin America. And finally, we are running a pilot training program for the judiciary in Brazil, which it's fantastic because they are a key actor for the enforcement of IP rights.
Fantastic. Well, it seems that you guys seem to be expanding both substantively and geographically, as mentioned in your publication. So, can you elaborate on the key complementary IP rights that INTA has recently focused on, and why these are significant for brand professionals?
Yes, sure. Well, the work is organized in INTA through committees. We have almost 40 committees dealing with specific topics within the IP world and related rights. The recent committees created at INTA is the Industrial Design Committees, the Data Protection Committee, and the Copyright Committee. Perhaps some of people doesn't know that we are not discussing about trademarks, but we are discussing almost all IP rights. And the last committee was launched this year is the Trade Secrets Committee. And finally, we have a committee that is called Emerging Issues, which is looking for every new thing that will affect our practice. And through that committee, we are including the artificial intelligence, which is now dealt by a group, it's a task group that integrates members from different committees. So this way, we could be sure that we are capturing all the things that are relevant and how AI is impacting our day-to-day practice. Just I forget to answer your last question is how this is significant for brand professional. Our idea is to reflect what are their needs. So what we have seen is that lawyers and attorneys, especially in-houses, are now dealing not only with trademarks, but also with many other things like data protection, like copyright, that domain names, and right of publicity. So we have to be able to provide them with that kind of better understanding and to be sure that they are updated and we are capturing what are the trends globally.
I mean, AI is a massive topic for everyone at the moment. And I know there's been some, you mentioned about some protests in Chile with regards to AI being used and people not happy with it potentially taking over their work, so to speak.
Mhm.
Um, but that's another topic. We will probably get into in another podcast. Uh, because we know that someone in the upcoming editions of the Global IP Matrix magazine will be talking about this particular topic as well. With regards to your article, I just want to go back because Santiago plays a critical role in the region, engaging with various stakeholders. And what are some of the most important relationship INTA has built in Latin America and the Caribbean, and how have these influenced the association's work, Carolina?
Yeah, certainly. Well, we're super proud of having very good relations and close relationships with all IP office in the region. I would say that at the beginning we prioritize the biggest market, which are Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, Chile. But now, I would say that in a second stage, we are prioritizing uh, to be close with the English-speaking Caribbean jurisdictions. And I would say, or I would say it is not English speaking only, because we have several different languages spoken here,
Hmm.
but I would say for those who are not Spanish speaking countries. And I would underscore the great work that we are doing with Cayman Island, Curacao, and Trinidad and Tobago. So we are having with them policy dialogues, training sessions for first for examiners and then for the community in general. Um, and I would say that as for local IP associations, we have a strong relation with the Brazilian IP Association. Brazil is the biggest market in the region. And we are jointly running the pilot project with the judiciary in that country. And finally, I would say that we have a fantastic relationship with the Chilean Chamber of Commerce, and through them, uh, we are developing here the Unreal campaign for Chile. So we are now working with 15 different schools to promote the knowledge of IP with with kids from 15 to 18 years old. So are just a few examples of how we are working here in the region.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I think it's important to educate, the new generation coming up in intellectual property matters because, I mean, this was never heard of for us growing up in schools. At such a young age. You mentioned, with regards to collaborations, it seems to be the cornerstone of inter-strategy in the region. Can you talk about the recent technical dialogues with IP offices in the English-speaking Caribbean and impact of these discussions, Carolina, please?
Yes, sure. We are super proud of this. Actually, this is the second dialogue that we have. The
Hmm.
first dialogue took place in 2023, and we built an agenda of topics to be discussed with them. So the idea is this second dialogue was held on April, and it's a good example, as you said, of what is our collaborative approach. Um, Through this dialogue, we could exchange between various stakeholders, including our IP practitioners, agents, and representatives from different offices. So we invited as experts to discuss with us también, also, sorry, the UK IP office.
Hmm.
We covered quite a wide range of topics to modernizing trademark practices, such as electronic filings, post-filing examinations, and how is the process of appointing agents. So are the kind of things that for our members sometimes are difficult to understand because the practice is different in each jurisdiction. So the idea for us is to have, hopefully, to standardize processes and that the same things work in the same way in different countries. So we share with them our experiences. We use also some examples, and we basically share what is done in some offices and how this could be perhaps reflected in other, or they could took that as a good example and implement it. Um, we discuss in that dialogue about the impact of artificial intelligence and how it is being used for trademark classification of goods and services. And it could be beneficial for them. And we hope that they could adopt some of those solutions that are already available. Um, we underscored also the importance of continuous exchanging experiences, knowledge, and good practices. And I would say that we received several letters thank you from IP offices there, uh, recognizing the value of this kind of discussions. So we're going to continue with this kind of events, and I think it helps us, it helps everyone. I think it's good for the system.
Definitely, as Inter's always pushing the boundaries, and this seems like another good direction to be going in, Carolina. With regards to education, we know that Inter's launching a multimedia educational program for the Brazilian judiciary in 2024. I don't know if that's been launched yet, but what are the key goals for the initiative, and how do you plan to collaborate with local IP associations to achieve them?
Yes, this is. I think this is again one of the. We're very proud of this project,
Hmm.
uh, and the idea here is that we detect there are several interesting things about Brazil. First, this is one of the few countries that has a specialized court of appeal for IP issues,
Hmm.
and that is fantastic. The second thing that we learned from our visit last year is that they must conduct training for their officials every year, about 40 hours, and they have that need to be covered. So we said, we have the experts. Let us to discuss what are the topics that are relevant for the judiciary, and then to develop a program. So we hope to launch this pilot project next October, and then it's going to be in I think it's in Rio, in an in-person event with the judges there, and then we're going to continue with the multimedia and recorded slots that we are now preparing for them. So to be sure that we could capture what are their needs, we signed a cooperation agreement with uh, the, the, the Judges Association of Brazil, and
Hmm.
also with the Academy of Brazil, as well as with the Brazilian IP Association, ABPI. So this way we could be sure that we could uh, um, reflect what are their needs, and then we are going to try to see if this pilot project could be also expanded to other jurisdictions, especially because IP, at least from my perspective, is one of the trade areas where we can see most harmonization globally.
Well, good luck with that, Carolina, and I'm sure it's going to be a massive success rolled out over the various jurisdictions in South America. Now, the economic impact of trademarks in the region has been highlighted in INTA's studies. How do these influence your advocacy efforts, especially when engaging with policymakers outside the IP community, Carolina?
Well, I would say that it's the first thing that we mention when we ask for a meeting with policymakers or government, high level government officials. This month we went to Argentina and Uruguay, and this is one of the topics that we raise when we talk with, for instance, the chief of staff of the president in Argentina. They are not IP experts, and we have to show them how IP is relevant for their society. And the way to
Mhm.
show them is basically by highlighting or underscore what is the impact that particularly brands have in their economies. So I would say that this kind of materials, this kind of studies that was run by INTA in 2020, in 29, yes,
Mhm.
it's a good example. And actually, we decided to update this study, at least for Argentina. So this way we could promote better public policies that include IP and hopefully a national IP strategy within their public policy for the development. Um, and again, we said it's a kind of mantra. We are always saying that thanks to the research conducted by the European Union and the United States, it's clear that industry that heavily reliant on IP rights contributes to 45 of GDP, account for 29% of formal employment, and offer wages that are 45 higher other than those in other sectors. The study run by INTA was focused only on the impact of trademarks, not all kind of IP rights, in 10 Latin American countries, and we found that actually trademark intensive industry contribute to 22% of GDP, employs 18 of the workforce, and pay salaries that are on average 29 higher than others. So, and that is just one example. So now, next week, in 2 weeks more, we're going to Brazil, and we're going to use this study and explain how is the contribution for the Brazilian economy of the trademark. So it's a good way to start any conversation with policymakers, either within government or at Congress.
Interesting. So brand restrictions are becoming more prevalent in Latin America. Can you let me know how is INTA advocating for a balanced approach to public health policies and trademark rights in this context?
Yeah, this is a work. We're always uh, looking on what is going on in each country.
Mhm.
And since most of them nowadays have implemented um, some restrictions to the labeling of foods, uh, actually they're not all those policies were not addressing or were not against trademarks, but in fact they affect the use of trademarks. So what we have been doing is first we develop studies to see how these changes are perceived by consumers, and these studies are shared with the ministries of health and also economy. And we are clearly saying that we are not opposing to any measure that looks for improve the health of our population, but we say that they have to analyze what are the results of them after some years. So what we have seen, for instance, is that for the case of Chile, who took the lead in this kind of things, is that obesity among children has increased, has not changed. The habits have not changed as well. So what we're saying is, please you should take decision based on data, and then to evaluate those the public policy decisions also on the results based on data again. So this is our position. And for instance, we had a meeting with the Ministry of Health in Argentina,
Mhm.
and we decide to develop an agenda to discuss this topic again, because they are quite open to evaluate and they regulate some of the decisions taken in the past. So we see there an opportunity to get some changes.
That's excellent. Carolina, can you tell us more about the Latin American Moot Court competition on intellectual property laws? What does this role? What does this competition play in encouraging the next generation of IP lawyers in the region?
Well, I would say this is fantastic. This year is the fourth edition. We have a record of teams uh, participating from a record countries. So we have, if I'm not wrong, we have um, over over 45 teams from 14 countries, I think. And the initiative basically seeks to promote the study and specialized research in IP laws among students and recent graduates of law from public or private universities all over Latin America and the Caribbean to foster the development of their knowledge. Most universities don't have IP as a matter within their career. So this way we could promote the knowledge of this specific trade area. So this competition is organized with the Court of Justice of the Andean Community and the Inter-American Association of IP. So we have, I would say that we have here nowadays over 300 students in 62 teams from 50 universities from 14 Latin American countries. I would say Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, El
Mhm.
Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela. This is fantastic. All the competition is through Zoom. That we have uh, the first steps are written is written, and then we have oral hearings, and the finals is at the end is the October 21st, and the judges there will be two justices from the Andean Court of Justice, the CEO of INTA, and the president of the Inter-American Association of IP. So it's fantastic. Our members volunteers as judges for the first stage of the competition by reviewing the lawsuits, the claims, and everything. So it's super interesting. I really like this job. And for this year, for the first time, the team that wins the first place will receive a monetary prize of 3,000 US dollar, in addition to some other benefits.
Well, that's an incentive if I ever did hear one, Carolina. I'd like to obviously thank you for being so open and honest with all your in answering all my questions today. So, finally, as we look ahead to 2024 and beyond, what are the key priorities for INTA in Latin America and the Caribbean, and how do you envision the association's role evolving in this diverse, complex region?
Yeah, I would say that as you said, it is a complex and beautiful and diverse region.
Hmm.
So one solution doesn't fit all. This is something that we are very aware of. So what we're promoting now is that some few countries have national IP strategies, and of those, just a few of them are actually implementing them. So what we are promoting with all of the countries is to consider having a written national IP strategy that could last and be available for a long term. And this is the kind of thing that I think that is the best way to promote IP in a way that is balanced and is not affected for political changes on governments. I think that that would be fantastic. We know that WIPO have developed a kind of tools that countries could use to develop their national IP strategies, and we are open to collaborate for in each country that is thinking about this. But I would say that that is the best way to promote IP beyond political changes that affect our region because every time that presidents are move or change in office, we have to start discussing with the new authorities appointed for IP.
Well, Carolina, I'm sure
Mhm.
you're going to be glad to know that that brings us to the end of today's interrogation. I mean, podcast. Carolina, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today's show. Your insights into the evolving landscape of IP in Latin America and the Caribbean are truly invaluable. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with our listeners today. On behalf of myself, Northon's Media PR and Marketing Limited, thank you once again, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. If you would like to read or listen to Carolina's article, if you go to www.gipmatrix.com and you click on issue 19, and I think it's on page 50 of the INTA special edition of the publication, please feel free to download and listen to that for free. Carolina, thank you for everything, and thank you for the coming on today.
Thank you, Carlos, again for having me. It's a fantastic opportunity, and you are doing a fantastic job as well. And hope to see you soon, hopefully in Chile.
Let's have a drink of Chilean wine in Chile. That would be fantastic, Carolina. Take care now.
You too. Bye.